Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we are going to do a deep dive into something that I think is really important for a lot of people, and that's spoken English.
Right.
And we have a video that we're going to be
Oh,
referencing
cool.
from teacher Sam, who has put out a lot of great content.
Absolutely. Very popular.
Yeah, and basically what we want to do is kind of pull out all the best tips that will help you improve your conversational English
That sounds great.
and try to make them as practical and actionable as possible. So, it reminds me of a time that I was in Japan trying to explain to a cab driver where I wanted to go.
Oh.
And let's just say my Japanese was really, really bad, and we ended up taking a very, very scenic route.
Oh, no.
But I did eventually get there, and the feeling of being able to connect even just a little bit was incredible.
Yeah. It's amazing how even a few basic phrases can really help bridge those cultural gaps and lead to some really cool experiences.
That's true, and that's what we're going for today.
I like that.
Give you the tools to have those successful interactions in English. So Teacher Sam kicks things off with a tip that might seem obvious, but I think it lays a really crucial foundation, and that is listening to slow conversations.
Okay, so this sounds simple, right? But there's actually a lot going on beneath the surface.
Mm.
So think of it this way. When you're learning a new language, your brain's kind of like a muscle that's working overtime,
Oh, okay.
right? So fast speech is like trying to lift a weight that's way too heavy.
Oh,
You might strain yourself and you won't get the full benefit. But when you slow things down, it allows you to really isolate the words, the grammar, the rhythm, and absorb everything.
makes sense.
It's like starting with those lighter weights,
Yeah.
and gradually building up your strength.
Yeah, that's a really good analogy because it makes me think about how important it is to be patient with ourselves
Absolutely.
when we are learning something new. And, Teacher Sam actually provides a practice sentence for us. I am learning English every day.
I love that.
Yeah.
A great affirmation.
It is, and it's simple, but saying it out loud helps you internalize that rhythm and flow of the language.
Exactly. And that repetition activates a specific part of your brain called Broca's area, which is crucial for speech production.
Huh.
So think of it like muscle memory
Okay.
for language. The more you practice those sounds, the easier and more natural they become.
So it's not just about understanding, it's about training our brains to actually produce those sounds correctly.
Yeah.
Which brings us to Teacher Sam's next tip, which really builds on that idea of practice.
Okay.
Repeating after native speakers.
Ooh.
Like when you were a kid and you would imitate your favorite cartoon characters.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
There's a reason we do that naturally.
Totally.
It's a powerful way to internalize the sounds, the intonation, the rhythm of a language. And in the video, Teacher Sam uses the phrases, how are you today? And I'm doing great, thank you.
So good.
Right, and repeating those phrases, it trains your mouth muscles.
Yes.
And it helps you to really fine-tune your pronunciation.
It's like learning a new dance move. The more you rehearse it, the smoother it gets.
Okay, I'm game jam, gonna try it. How are you today?
Perfect.
I'm doing great, thank you. It does feel good to get those words out there.
It does.
But I have to admit, sometimes I get really stuck trying to form these perfectly complex sentences.
Oh, yeah.
And this next tip from Teacher Sam really resonated with me.
Okay.
Use simple sentences.
Yes.
The quest for perfection.
Right.
I think we all fall into that trap.
It's a common one.
We want to sound so eloquent.
Sophisticated.
Sophisticated, yes. But sometimes that can actually hold us back.
Totally.
And Teacher Sam gives this hilarious example of a super complicated coffee order to illustrate this.
Oh, yeah.
And they break it down from this convoluted mess to a simple, can I have a coffee, please?
Which honestly is probably what you want
Exactly.
when you're ordering a coffee.
Clarity is key.
Clarity is key, and it can really boost your confidence.
That's true.
When you're not struggling with all that grammar and vocabulary,
Mm.
you're more likely to actually speak up and participate.
And that brings us to Teacher Sam's next gem,
Okay.
practicing daily conversations.
I love this tip because it really emphasizes the practical application of language.
Yeah.
It's not just about knowing those words, it's about being able to actually use them.
In real life.
In real life, exactly. And Teacher Sam even provides a short role play
Oh, perfect.
to demonstrate this. Good morning. How are you? Good
Ah.
morning. I'm fine. Thank you. Simple, right?
It is simple.
But think about how many times we encounter these basic exchanges
Every day.
every single day.
It's true, and practicing these interactions can really help us feel more comfortable and confident in those situations.
Oh, sure.
Maybe we can even try that role play right now.
Dame, let's do it.
Okay, so imagine you're walking down the street
Okay.
and you bump into a friend.
All right, I got it.
Okay, you take the lead.
Good deep breath.
Okay.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well, thanks. How about you?
I'm fantastic. Thanks for asking.
See, it's amazing how practicing those seemingly mundane exchanges can actually make a big difference.
It really does. It helps to internalize that natural flow of a conversation.
Yeah, and speaking of flow,
Okay.
Teacher Sam's next 2 tips are all about finding the right pace and rhythm.
Right, let's hear it.
So we're talking about slowing down your speech and focusing on pronunciation.
Okay. 2 very important things.
These 2 tips are like 2 sides of the same coin.
They really are. Because when you slow down,
Yeah,
it gives you that space to pay attention to how you're forming those sounds.
exactly. And Teacher Sam gives this great example of the phrase, I want to learn English quickly.
Okay.
Now try saying it really quickly, and then try saying it slowly,
Okay.
enunciating each word.
It's amazing how different it sounds, right?
Yeah,
And it highlights how crucial pronunciation is.
to clear communication
Exactly. Even small errors can change the meaning
of a word.
of a word, of a sentence,
Or even a whole sentence.
the whole thing. So Teacher Sam throws in a few practice words for us to work on. Work, walk, and world.
I like those.
Yeah, and they demonstrate how even subtle differences in those vowel sounds can completely change the meaning.
It's like those little details that make a work of art come alive.
Absolutely, we need to pay attention to those nuances.
To really appreciate the beauty of the language.
Exactly. And speaking of appreciation,
Yes.
Teacher Sam's next tip encourages us to really listen to ourselves.
You mean like actually record ourselves speaking?
I know it can be a little daunting,
It can be a little scary.
but think about it this way. Athletes watch game footage.
Oh, yeah. To analyze their performance.
Exactly. Musicians listen back to recordings.
To identify areas for improvement.
Right. So recording yourself speaking English allows you to do the same thing.
That's a great point. It takes away the guesswork.
It does.
And it helps you to really hone in on what you need to work on.
Exactly. And Teacher Sam provides a challenge phrase for us to practice with. I practice English every day. So grab your phone, hit record, and let's see what we discover.
I love it.
That recording exercise, it's a powerful tool, isn't it? You can really become more aware of your own strengths and weaknesses.
It is, but sometimes I feel like we need a little extra boost.
Right.
You know, something to help us internalize that rhythm and flow
I agree.
of the language, and that's where Teacher Sam's next technique comes in.
Okay.
Shadowing.
Shadowing.
I've heard of it. I've never actually tried it.
Oh, really?
What exactly is the concept?
So it's like becoming an echo.
Oh, okay.
You listen to a native speaker and you repeat what they're saying.
Mm.
You try to match their pace, their intonation, their rhythm.
Oh, wow.
It's like a real-time pronunciation workout.
That's cool.
Teacher Sam demonstrates this with the phrase, "Good morning. How are you?"
Oh,
And it's a great way to train your ear and your tongue to work together seamlessly.
I can see how that would be so helpful for developing a more natural flow. I'm definitely going to give that a try.
Awesome.
You know, I've noticed that when I'm speaking English, I often get stuck translating everything in my head.
Right.
It's like there's a mental roadblock preventing me from just letting the language flow.
I know what you mean.
And Teacher Sam addresses this with the tip of thinking in English.
That is a huge one. That's the key to really moving beyond translation and achieving that true fluency.
That's what we all want.
Exactly. Because when you think in English, you're not constantly switching back and forth
Right.
between languages. So it's like taking a mental shortcut.
Makes sense.
Right. And it allows you to express yourself more spontaneously and naturally.
I can imagine it's like learning to drive.
What's
At
that?
first, you're consciously thinking about every single step, clutch, gas brake, mirror.
Yeah,
But with practice, it becomes second nature.
totally.
You just get in the car and drive.
Exactly. And that's the goal with thinking in English.
Yeah.
To reach a point where it becomes intuitive, where you're not thinking about the grammar rules or translating every word.
I like that.
So Teacher Sam uses the example of visualizing an apple.
How cool.
Instead of thinking, what's the English word for apple?
Yeah.
Try picturing an apple in your mind and simply saying apple.
Okay.
It's a simple exercise, but it helps to rewire your brain to think directly in English.
So it's about building those direct connections between the concept and the English word,
Yes.
bypassing the translation process altogether.
I love that.
It's like unlocking a secret pathway in your brain.
It really is.
And once you start thinking in English, you'll notice a significant improvement in your fluency and spontaneity.
That's what we want.
Of course, practicing on your own is important, but there's nothing quite like interacting with a real live person.
Yeah, that's true.
Which brings us to Teacher Sam's final tip.
Okay.
Find a speaking partner.
This is something I've always struggled with, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
It can be intimidating to put yourself out there and practice with someone else. I know what you mean.
Especially when you're not feeling super confident.
Right?
But I know it's essential for progress.
Absolutely. Language is about connection.
Yeah.
It's about communication.
Yeah,
It's about sharing ideas and experiences.
that's true.
And there's no better way to develop your speaking skills than by engaging in real conversations.
That makes sense.
So Teacher Sam suggests several options for finding a speaking partner. Language exchange apps, online groups, local classes.
Oh, it's cool.
Even talking to yourself in the mirror if that helps you practice.
Hey, whatever works, right?
The important thing is to create opportunities for that real-life interaction.
Exactly.
And Teacher Sam even provides a simple conversation starter to try out.
Oh, perfect.
What's your favorite food?
I like that.
It's a great way to break the ice and get the conversation flowing.
You know, as we're talking about all these tips, I'm realizing that there's a common thread running through them.
What's that?
It's not just about learning the mechanics of English.
Right.
It's about developing a mindset
Oh, okay.
for success.
That's a great observation.
It's about embracing the learning process, being patient with yourself, and finding joy in the journey.
Teacher Sam's enthusiasm is contagious.
It is.
And it reminds us that language learning, it doesn't have to be this dry academic pursuit.
Oh, yeah.
It can be fun, it can be engaging, it can even be hilarious at times.
Totally. Like when Teacher Sam was demonstrating the shadowing technique
Oh, yeah.
and accidentally said, "Good morning, how are you?" in this really high-pitched voice.
That was great.
I couldn't stop laughing.
It was a good reminder that it's okay to make mistakes, to sound silly, to experiment with the language.
Yeah.
The important thing is to keep practicing.
And keep pushing yourself outside your comfort zone.
Exactly. And speaking of pushing ourselves,
Yes.
Teacher Sam ends the video with a challenge that I think is brilliant.
Oh, what is it?
They ask viewers to have a full conversation in English, covering topics like their name, where they're from, what they like to do.
Oh, wow.
I love that challenge. It encourages viewers to put all the tips they've learned into action. It's also a great way to practice those everyday conversation skills that are so essential for fluency.
And it goes beyond just exchanging information.
Right.
It's about connecting with another person,
Yes.
sharing a part of yourself,
Absolutely.
and building a bridge across cultures.
Exactly. It reminds us that language learning is about so much more than just acquiring a new skill.
What is it about?
It's about expanding our horizons, broadening our perspectives, and enriching our lives in countless ways.
You know, I think this brings up a really interesting question. How does learning a new language change the way we think and perceive the world?
That is a fascinating question, and one that has intrigued philosophers and linguists for centuries.
It really is, and I'm thinking back to my own experience in Japan.
Yeah.
Even though my Japanese was very basic, the simple act of trying to communicate in another language opened up a whole new way of seeing things.
Interesting.
I was more aware of cultural nuances, more attentive to nonverbal cues,
I see.
more sensitive to the different ways that people express themselves.
It's like putting on a new pair of glasses
Yeah.
and seeing the world in a different light. And there's actually a theory called linguistic relativity
Oh.
that explores this idea.
Oh, wow.
And it suggests that the language we speak influences how we perceive and categorize the world around us.
So it's not just about learning new words, it's about developing a whole new way of thinking.
Exactly. For example, some languages have specific words for colors that don't exist in other languages.
Oh, wow.
So speakers of those languages might literally see those colors differently
That's mind-blowing.
than someone whose language doesn't make that distinction.
It makes me wonder about all the subtle ways that language shapes our thoughts and perceptions without us even realizing it.
It's a powerful concept.
Yeah.
And it highlights the importance of being mindful of the language we use, both when speaking and thinking.
Yeah.
Because our words have the power to shape not only our own thoughts, but also the thoughts of those around us.
So whether you're learning English to travel the world, advance your career, or simply connect with new people, remember, this language is more than just a tool for communication.
What is it?
It's a gateway to a richer, more meaningful life.
I love that.
It's an invitation to explore, to grow, and to discover the incredible diversity of human thought and experience.
And on that inspiring note,
Yes.
we'll take a short break.
But don't go anywhere. We've got more fascinating insights to share with you when we return. Welcome back, everyone. Before the break, we were talking about how learning a new language can really change the way we think and perceive the world.
It's true, and the more languages we learn, the more doors we unlock.
Yeah.
Each language offers a unique lens to view the world.
It's so well said. It makes me think of that quote. To have another language is to possess a second soul. It's like each language we learn adds another layer
It does.
to our understanding of ourselves and the world.
I love that quote. It really speaks to the transformative power of language learning. It's not just about acquiring a new skill. It's about expanding our consciousness and connecting with humanity on a deeper level.
And as we're talking about this, I'm realizing that my experience in Japan wasn't just about the language.
Oh, really?
It was about the food, the customs, the art, the entire cultural tapestry, and learning even a little bit of Japanese really helped me to appreciate all of those things.
It's true. Language is the key that unlocks the door to a culture.
Yeah.
It allows us to connect with people on a more authentic level, to understand their humor, their values, their worldview.
It breaks down barriers and builds bridges.
Absolutely.
It's like that feeling you get when you finally understand a joke in another language.
Yeah,
It's not just about getting the punchline, it's about feeling like you've tapped into a shared understanding.
that feeling of connection, of shared understanding is what makes language learning so rewarding. It's not just about memorizing vocabulary and grammar rules. It's about opening ourselves up to new experiences, new perspectives, new ways of being.
So for all of you out there who are learning English, remember, you're not just learning a language, you're embarking on an incredible journey
That's right.
of self-discovery and cultural exploration.
Embrace the challenges, celebrate the victories,
Mhm.
and enjoy the ride.
And never underestimate the power of language to transform your life.
So true.
Well, on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive into Teacher Sam's English speaking tips. We hope you've enjoyed this exploration of language learning, and we encourage you to keep practicing, keep exploring, keep those language learning fires burning.
Absolutely.
Until next time, happy language learning.